All right, everybody, what's good? What's good? It's your boy TBT, aka the Brainless Trader. Um, we are here. We are back. We're lit. All that, and we're gonna talk a little bit about why market's correct and kind of what I'm thinking moving forward. So let's do it. Shout out to the one viewer right now. What's up? Chat me. You feel me? Let me know what's up. But anyways, we're gonna get on the chart. So hopefully y'all can hear me. If you can't, please let me know. But I got this darn mic in my face, in my throat right now, so I'm trying to make sure y'all can hear me. But yeah, so right now, what we've looked at earlier this week basically is price going ahead and kind of moving up. I'll say that we've seen price kind of in foreign currency go up and the DXY go down. So we'll just kind of go through what I'm seeing right now and then talk through what I think may happen later. So as you see on this weekly chart here, what we've got going on is prices already basically kind of dip down into this weekly order block. If you see here, excuse me, weekly order block here. So lowest down close candle in this range here, from this low to this high. Prices pulled down into it, touched the bottom of it, and basically pulled back up all the way. So this is something that I was saying that I would want to see price to continue to knock out lows. Like these relative equal lows look really juicy. As far as a sell side target for the DXY, but if price respects this area, this is also a large fair value gap here on the weekly as well, if you can see that. If price essentially, depending on where we close, right, for the week, that's how I'll know whether or not price is gonna be maybe going back up to the top. And so, and from what I'm seeing right now, just off this weekly, right, like it may look like we're not gonna see too much more downside movement. So now we'll see as we get to the other pairs and kind of show y'all. But essentially, what was this? A run on liquidity, right? And a run right into this order block, finishing right at the bottom, right? Closing right at the bottom of the order block and now kind of moving back up. So what I would want to see is, and this is just me looking at my sell models here, what I would want to see is, as we get on the lower time frames, we see there's a couple areas, right? One area here where there's a large fair value gap. I'm going to delete what we have here because this is like way far ago. Gotta get out my way. But yeah, this large fair value gap that's still open, and this one as well. That's basically was not closed, was not traded past, right? It kind of filled it, rebalanced, and continued to go down. So price basically perfect symmetry finished on the edge of this weekly OB. Now we're looking like, okay, what could happen next? In the recent 4 hours, obviously price has been pushing back down, but we want to see what does that look like on foreign currency, right? Because if this is going to be just a retracement and then price maybe gets up into this fair value gap and then continues to push down, then of course we're still bullish foreign currency. But if price trades past, this fair value gap, trades up past these relative equal highs, which also look juicy, perfectly relatively equal, then we could possibly be seeing something else, right? So we got to just see what's going to happen, because obviously we don't know. We can assume, but we want to just kind of put ourselves in a good place, you know what I'm saying? So I don't have the light on because my kids are asleep, so I'm gonna just go ahead and turn my camera off since y'all can't see me anyway. But now let's look at what we got in foreign currency. Starting with GBP USD. Obviously we had the trade that I kind of talked y'all through earlier this week, right here with this kind of fair value gap and push up to the top. So we can maybe talk through that real quick before we get to what I want to talk about. So just looking at this area here, we had price kind of All right, well, maybe we should go back. Let's talk through the weekly fair value gap first. Earlier this week and even last week, I told you all that I was looking at this weekly fair value gap as a turning point potentially for price to, if it's going to trade into it and continue back down. Now that we've seen the DXY trade down, obviously we're going to have that bullish movement in foreign currency, which you've seen here, right? So my official, analysis has been invalidated, right? So I am now publicly changing my my bias to short-term bullish foreign currency, as long as what y'all just seen in the DXY, as long as the DXY continues to move down, right? Now, the area that I'm interested in now for foreign currency is this fair value gap here. This fair value gap, let's kind of move this here. This was the previous fair value gap, but I'm gonna just use it here. This fair value gap here looks really nice, and prices already kind of got close to it. So we're gonna have to see, is price gonna respect it? Is price gonna trade into it? Or is it gonna do what it did to this one and just basically bust through it, right? Trade past it, come back, retest it, bust through it again. So as you've seen, price has already touched it, right? So, but we gotta see, is price gonna trade through it? And now, like I told y'all earlier, I felt like price is going to have some retracement. Today is Friday. We already traded hundreds of pips bullish this week, so I feel like there will be some small retracement, but it is potential that it could be a continued a continuation for today, but I just don't think it'll be too much because it's Friday and we've already had a lot of movement. I would think that we would be trading back down in this within this weekly candle. So let me just go ahead and enable that, and we can kind of dive into the lower time frames. So let's talk about the trade that I was that I took earlier this week, and captured some good pips. I captured 33 pips and then took a small portion of it, or a large portion of it, off, and then captured the rest after 50 pips. And let's look at it. Let's see if I can get my my chart stuff here. So I'm gonna show you the executions. I take them off because there's so many of them, being that this is an account that I like to test things out on. Where are my executions at, brother? Where they at? Okay, there's one execution, but I'm not seeing the one that I want to see. It's interesting. Is paper trading on, bro? Now we're gonna have to see. It's on. It's on. That's weird. Anyways, let's see if I can find where the trade was. That's weird as a mug. Huh. I don't even know. So I took a trade right here. I don't know why it's not showing. Anyways, took a trade right here. There was a 30-minute fair value gap here as well, which it looks like I just took that completely off my screen. Let's zoom in. Maybe it's on the lower time frame. I don't know. It should show. Took a trade. Oh, you know what? The trade is in EU. I'm like, yo, what the? There you go. All right. So here's a trade. We took it in EU, not GU. And the reasoning for the trade was, let's zoom all the way out though. If you can see it before I zoom in, there was a liquidity run here. Right? Now, I didn't notice it at the time. I'm going to have to go back. Let's go back. I didn't notice it at the time, but there's also a breaker here too. Low, high, lower low, would have been a nice breaker here, which price did respond off of. If you can see, it didn't touch it completely, but it came back down and respected the area. There's also a fair value gap right here, right? That price basically traded back into this little area right here, very small, but price traded a little bit past it. Nice little order block here, traded down into the order block, and also, it essentially just above the breaker, and then continued in the next direction. Now, this would be your first area. This whole area would be your first area of accumulation, right? If you're looking at ICT's market maker sell models, market maker buy. This is a market maker buy model, right? You got the run on liquidity, you got the formation of the breaker, respecting of the breaker, fair value gap zones, and then upstream fair value gaps and order blocks to follow, right? So now if we zoom in, as I was looking and thinking about my bias earlier this week, I was thinking that, price was going to potentially give me this. I thought this was a breaker, high, low, higher high, but I just never really saw that fair value gap. This is a small one. I never saw a fair value gap trade, with impulsive action down below and then a retracement back in. I saw this. I'm like, oh crap, there's a fair value gap here. There's an order block here. I realized that what I just told you is a breaker. I'm like, man, I'm tripping. I'm in the wrong direction. Let me get in line with the delivery for the week. I said, okay, cool. So then I decided, all right, we're going to go ahead and see about this trade. Fair value gap, order block, price basically respects it. And I got in right on this candle here. I was like, all right, let's go ahead and do it. Then I was just thinking, next level of liquidity is here. And then if you look to the left, there's some liquidity all the way to the left at 50 pips. If we can find it. Oh, there it is, right? 50 pips. So I'm thinking, man, I'll probably get 30. And then price just shoots up here. I'm like, bro, okay, this is a great trade. And I talked about it on, if you go to my community tab, I talked about it before I did it. And then I actually did it. And then I talked about it after I did it and gave you my reasoning and all that. But this is just an actual look at what it was. Oh yeah, we're back over here. So I got out majority of my pips above, like right above here. It's on this candle, but I didn't wait that long. Then I got out of the rest of it here because I was like, well, that's liquidity, so ICT says get out, let me go ahead and jump. And then price just continued up. Now this is where I'm thinking, as we continue on, right, I believe that fair value gap, because the fair value gap I believe is in this pair too in EU. Let's go to the weekly. Can you give me what I'm looking for? What I'm looking for, there you go. There is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a weekly fair value gap up here, way up here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Alright, there you go. Let's take the executions off the chart because they're starting to get annoying. And let's look at this fair value gap. So the same fair value gap that I showed you in GU is apparent in EU, which is why I trade both, because they like the same thing. So if I can get a trade in one of them, I can get a trade in both of them. You feel me? So I'm like, okay, this is a nice setup. So here goes the weekly fair value gap. I believe we will see price. We may see price continue to trade up into it. I just don't know what's going to happen once it gets up there. I would say that if the DXY continues to go down and attack, relative equal lows, then yes, we'll see relative equal highs and fair value gaps attacked on foreign currency, EU, GU, right? But as you see, prices already touched it, already traded up into it a little bit, and look at how far it's came back down, right? Let's slide this weekly FVG out a little bit. Let's copy and paste this weekly FVG and make it another one. Let's go ahead and put this FVG in. Weekly FVG, hello, what's she doing? And then boom, here you have it being touched ever so slightly. So now you got to see what happened today already. I said earlier this week I feel like price is going to trade back. Now what do you see? You see price haven't traded all the way up. You got a second leg of distribution here. all the way, touches the fair value gap. Now it's trading back in the other direction. Now we have high, low, higher high. You already know what it is, a breaker. So today, I don't know. Are we gonna see price continue to trade away from this breaker, as we've already kind of seen? If we go ahead and outline it. All right, let's make that blue because I like my breakers to be blue. Boom, boom. This is a 1 hour bearish break. So now, as you've seen, price traded all the way up here this week, but now, as I said earlier this week, I feel like price is going to have some retracement today. Now, the question is, after today, what is it going to do? I don't know. We're going to have to see. We probably have to wait for Monday. So Monday's open, most likely, to see. But as you see, price has already traded back into the breaker. Now, there's no fair value gap. I like to see usually a fair value gap over here, right? So that I know that the breaker is validated. It's not really there. So, yes, this breaker was formed, traded into, and now as we approach the news, right, for the rest of today, we may see, some continued movement, maybe back down into this fair value gap. Now, if this fair value gap remains open, like if price just trades like halfway through it, it doesn't trade all the way through it, and maybe just fizzles out between this high and this low, right? Then I would say we got to see, because we may have some bullish movement next week, right? It all depends on the DXY. DXY is what controls everything, right? Whatever news comes out, it's just going to kind of go into the fashion of what they want it to, right? But the technicals are saying that we could potentially, if the FEG is not eclipsed completely, right, not closed out completely, then we could potentially have some movement back up into, higher highs in this weekly fair value gap that I already outlined for you, that we've touched. We may trade up into it and past it, right? So that's what I'm thinking for this week, this upcoming week. I was happy with my execution on this trade down here and everything. I can go ahead and delete this breaker because it was never a true breaker. But as of today, I'm just watching, really. I ain't really trying to get into no trades, because if I wanted to trade, I would need this breaker to have a nice large fair value gap across from it and see the same trading back into it. I've seen the trading back into it, but I'm not convinced that this is a bearish movement as of yet, just because now you see that this weekly fair value gap from before has been traded back up into, down into, and even this fair value gap on the hour has been traded into, and price is already responding, right? So if we go back up to GU, it's the same thing, except that movement hasn't really happened all the way yet. So we've touched the fair value gap. You got high, low, higher, high for our breaker, which we'll go ahead and put in there. I like to do my breakers, use the entire body and wick. Like if it was just like a large candle, super large candle, then maybe I would just use the body. Or if it was a super long wick, I would just use the wick. But it all depends on how you feel, honestly. I mean, just you have to understand what has worked for you in the past. And for me, looking at it, when there's a small candle, I just use the whole body and wick. When there's a large candle, use the body. Or when I see like a large wick, like if this wick was on the bottom side of it, then I would just use the entire wick length. And this is stuff that ICT talks about too. So it's kind of a feel, but essentially, like, look, we've seen the same thing, right? I don't see the fair value gap that I really want to see, right? I don't see it. I have to continue to go down on different charts, but if I don't see it on the hour, it probably ain't there on the lower time frames, because on the hour it would be the biggest, most likely, right? So I see one on the 2 hour though, so this is okay. It's okay. It would depend on what price does here. Like if price stops here, right, within this fair value gap and continues to make lower highs, then yeah, I would say maybe we could get an attack of this area for today if we were trying to take a trade. But I ain't really worried about taking a trade today. I want to just see how price is going to retrace and see what the DXY is going to do. So if I look back at EU, let's see. Yeah, not really much of a fair value gap across from the breaker. So yeah, sticking with that same thought process. So Otherwise, we will begin to look at gold as well. So I may go ahead and start looking at that now. But as far as GU, EU, I'm just kind of waiting on that DXY. Whatever the DXY wants to do, then I'm with it. If it doesn't cross this major fair value gap and it doesn't trade up against these highs, then I would say next week I'll be looking bearish. But we'll just have to see. In terms of gold, this is a pair that obviously is not new to many, but it's new to me because I never trade gold. And the only reason I'm trading it is because I'm trying to expand my horizons. Um, I have GJ on my horizons as well, but GJ is like a pair that I will only trade when a specific setup forms. Same breaker setup that I'm looking for, it just don't form as much in GJ unless liquidity has been run out on like the higher time frame. So similarly with gold, right? What I've seen in looking at it already is that there are a lot of fair value gaps and sell side liquidity to the bottom side. We've already had like a large run on liquidity earlier this year, March, where price really just ran out everything and then has since then attacked all of these relatively equal lows. Lows, lows, low, lows. Hit all of them, right? Even this fair value gap hit it too. So as I'm looking, I'm like, okay, before it was just lows that it was attacking, right? And there's probably some fair value gaps in here, but it just looks more like lows. And now it's like fair value gaps and lows here. You already eclipsed those, but you got a low. You got, fair value gaps on this side. Fair value gap, fair value gap, fair value gap. All this that, price is potentially going to hit. And you got the relatively equal lows as well, right? So without zooming in all the way over there, I'm just thinking that in terms of the current price action, what have we seen lately? We've seen a higher time frame somewhat run on liquidity, ran out the bodies of these candles, not the wicks. And then, basically after a run on liquidity, it just continues to do the things that ICC says it should do, right? So I'm not 100% sure on this because obviously I haven't really traded it, but if I were a betting man, what I would say is obviously we're going to continue to see a little bit of a run, and we'll have to see if price runs out these fair value gaps in this high. If not, which is already seems like it's kind of respecting this recent order block, if you look here, if it doesn't move any higher than this, then we would be looking at these nice relative equal lows here. And then the next target would most likely be this fair value gap, which would be another strong couple moves, honestly, for gold, since it hasn't really, it's been doing that, but my only caution against that is we've ran out the majority of all this liquidity. So I don't know, but obviously I would be staying with that same bias, similar to, like a GU or EU, except I think this higher time frame bias is a little bit more bearish. Even as you see, I feel like the weekly movement is a bearish candle, whereas the weekly movement for GU/EU has been a bullish candle. So it still seems like it's majorly bearish. So that's my next thought, is that these relatively equal lows could be got, and then from there we'll just have to see if we continue to get nice runs on liquidity in the opposite direction of this bias that would then enter us into trades in the direction of this bias. You feel me? So I will be keeping my head out for that. But other than that, we got new videos on the way. We got a lot of stuff potentially coming soon. So next week, God willing, we're launching bias videos. Gonna launch it this week, but just didn't get to it. So that's why I'm about to start editing right now. And then we got another trading breakdown video, and then just my hope is for more live videos. Problem with it is that I have work, and so it is a little difficult for me to like trade live with the camera on because I'm at work. But I can be trading, so I'm usually trading while I'm at work and just kind of doing other things as well. But um hopefully we can get some sort of live videos. I don't like trading in London, but I do have a specific day that I like trading in London, so we might see if that day might work out as well. But we're just gonna keep having fun with it. We're gonna keep bringing out videos, and any requests are welcome. I have some requests that I'm trying to work on filling out right now, so feel free to let me know. But other than that, appreciate y'all watching and everything like that. Those are my thoughts for this past week and this upcoming week, and we will see what happens as time unfolds. Alright, much love, y'all be blessed, God bless you, and I'm going to send you to my my exit screen. Y'all be good.
Here, this is facts. I enter right here. It's a demo, but I'm just showing you my executions. I enter right here after the impulse. We already talked about why I entered. I entered because of a order block on the higher time frame, 15 minute, and fair value gap, and I waited for a lower high, got in on the impulse. Boom. I waited until price gave me what I wanted price-wise, till I got to my goal. You don't have to wait all day, all right? Me personally, with a 10 lot size, trading the FTMO $100,000 account, if I can get $2,000 to $3,000 in a day, I am so happy. If I can get $1,000 profit in a day, and that's all it gives me, I'm fine with that. Okay, it's all about stacking profits up day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. It ain't about big profits. Now, I left the trading because my stops are the profit, and I'm in the same direction as my higher time frame bias. I have the leverage. Okay. I will leave my trade in until price gets to that next level of liquidity, which at the time, what I had been targeting, let's see, what was I, if I can remember, what I had been targeting, to be honest with you, I was targeting this lower sell side liquidity, to be honest with you. But I like to have a modest target in case, that doesn't happen. So I think, where was I? I was... Okay, here is where I was. Was it?